Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over our buys, sells, and dividends for March 17th through March 23rd, 2024. Let's get it. So the first portfolio we're going to go over is the M1 Finance portfolio. That is where most of our lower yielding dividend stocks are. So you can see that for the week, unfortunately, we did not get a lot in dividends. We basically just got 1 cent, so not really much there. No trading activity as well. Pretty much none for M1 Finance for the week. The main reason being is because we've been more heavily focused on Robinhood and our Fidelity accounts with crypto and the FEPI ETF as well as the Bitcoin miner stocks. So that's the reason why you're not seeing a whole lot going on here. Now, if we go into we'll actually go into Fidelity first. So Fidelity, you guys can see that we still have all of our positions. We have been adding to ETCG, so you see we have a few more shares here, nothing huge. We go over into the activity tab. You guys can see that we have been buying basically the entire week. So the start of the week was at the 17th. The first trading session of the week was on the 18th. You guys can see here we bought 4 shares. Average price of... Oh, sorry, that was my bad. That's HZen. So we bought 4 shares of HZen at 687. But on the 19th, because there was a huge drop in ETCG and there was only like a very minimal drop on HZen. That's the reason why we started buying this one over HZen. Because ideally, it's best to buy when prices are down, not necessarily prices being up. Because when you buy them when they're up, your money goes. You have less buying power because the price is higher, and the inverse is also true. So we bought 3 shares of ETCG, average price of $12.93. It looks like. Again, ETCG 2 shares at $14.35, and again 2 shares at $14.78. We're just kind of DCing into this thing, as you guys can see. Very similar with LTCN last year, and again 2 shares at $13.76. So our average price has been reduced pretty significantly down to $17.26. I think it was like almost $19 before this point. So pretty substantial reduction. You can see we're still massively in profit on BCHG and LTCN. So 160%, 88% respectively, 12% on HZen. Of course, we're not going to sell for $3.32 of profit. That's almost negligible. We basically would add a lot more money to this particular trust before we sold for a profit, because $30 or whatever this is, that's really nothing. So ETCG, we're down $145, but again, we have reduced our cost basis as this is coming down, which will ultimately increase potential profit in the future. So you can see all of our positions here on these. And ETCG is the only one that we've added to as of this week. We have not taken any profits on these. We're just sitting on the positions at this point because we think an altcoin season is coming pretty soon. When exactly that's going to be, I don't know. It could be a few months, could be by the end of the year, but we're keeping a lookout for that. We do not want to get out for less than what we think we can make. So with that being said, we're going to go over to Coinbase. So here's all of our holdings. So we'll go over this one more time. So we have AIOZ as our biggest holding because we're very bullish on that, very bullish on AI tokens in this crypto bull run. We have a little bit of Bitcoin. We have Dash, which is a Bitcoin oscillator Filecoin. This is a DePIN project. It's very undervalued at this point. I think to get to the highs is like a 30x or something. Horizon, this is the underlying for the HZen token. So even if we miss out on the run on HZen, we still have the underlying that we could profit off of as well. Scale, this is, I believe, an L2 solution. Render is another AI token that we have. Render is partnered up with NVIDIA, just so you all know. There's the Graph and Engine Coin, which this is a gaming slash what is the term? Well, it's a gaming token. It's also something else too, but it's a gaming token. Fetch.ai, that's another AI project. Crypto.com, this is the exchange token. Zcash, Bitcoin Oscillator, Banker Network. We have Dogecoin. Of course, that's a meme coin because everybody loves the memes, right? So we have a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Litecoin, and that's pretty much what's going on right now. So the only position that we added to this week was in Crow. So we'll go over here. You guys can see that we bought, basically a little bit of tokens. Trying to get it to pop up here. So 214 tokens for $30 total on the 17th, pretty much right after the market opens. So that's what's going on with the crypto portfolio as of right now. And as you guys can see, our portfolio has kind of been bleeding a little bit. Well, it looks like a little bit, but it's actually quite a bit. Pretty much ever since Bitcoin hit its $73,000 top. Do I think that we hit the top on Bitcoin for the cycle high? No, I do not. As a matter of fact, before we get into the Webull and Robinhood accounts, we'll talk about that for a little bit. So basically, kind of what I'm expecting to happen at this point. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, but now I'm a little bit more convinced that it is. So if we just kept on going up in a straight line, that would not be good for the cycle because that would shorten the length of the cycle. Again, Bitcoin can only go up so much before eventually that Bitcoin pi cycle top indicator will be hit, which will indicate the end of the bear market sooner rather than later, and we do not want that. And we have not really had a true alt season yet. That's the other reason why I'm convinced that we are not at the cycle peak, because a lot of these altcoins that we showed you guys that we personally own are still massively off all-time highs. They're like 60 to 80% from their all-time highs. And a lot of these will go back to all-time highs, if not higher than previous all-time highs when the alt season happens. Another reason that we also think that we are not yet in the cycle peak is because generally speaking, when Bitcoin tops out, the Bitcoin dominance dumps off and then altcoin season pops off. We have not seen a sell-off in the Bitcoin dominance. You guys can see this happened last time. So Bitcoin hit new all-time highs right here around December, topped out somewhere between January to February, March, and then Bitcoin dominance sold off and money flowed from Bitcoin into the altcoins. When we see something like this massive drop here, that's when we could potentially hit a peak for Bitcoin. Okay. We haven't seen anything like that yet. The Bitcoin dominance has basically just been going straight up. So what we're planning on doing for the next, I'd say at least month or two, is because of the fact that Bitcoin's so overextended from the EMAs, and I'll show you guys one more time. Okay. The potential drop here is still another massive 38% if it is going to drop, just to get back down to that bottom EMA, which is at 40,000. This could actually happen. Believe it or not, this is possible. So from the peak to the bottom, that would be about a 46% retracement. If we go over here when Bitcoin got massively overextended last time, before the second peak that we had, we're just talking about the first peak here, you guys can see that the drawdown was pretty huge. It was about 53%, and it took quite a few weeks before we saw that drop, and the drop happened in roughly about 2 weeks. Haven't seen anything like that yet, but I do think that some kind of pullback for maybe 2-3 months at this point is possible. Again, that would be good for crypto and Bitcoin if we pulled back a little bit to kind of cool off and give us more time to run in the future. Plus, the EMAs need to catch up. And pretty much while that happens, what we plan on doing is putting the vast majority of our money into dividend paying stocks and writing options covered calls on some of those stocks while we're waiting for Bitcoin to get back into these EMAs. When it gets back into the EMAs, then we will start transferring more money back into crypto and altcoins. At this point, we have so much money in crypto. And I mean, we really have a lot. So this is definitely not a small amount by any means. As you guys can see, we have tons of shares of Coney. We have a few shares of MSTY, not that many. But we have a ton of the Bitcoin miner stocks. So 300 Cypher, 800 BTBT, 300 HUD8, 200 Riot. A ton of the Grayscale Trust, not nearly as much as some people, but it's quite a bit. And we also have a lot of native cryptocurrencies. So, kind of our thinking is we're just going to sit back for a couple of months, let Bitcoin and the market cool off, buy, basically gobble up a bunch of dividend paying stocks and write options premiums on those or options cover calls, wait for Bitcoin to de risk into these EMAs, and then get back in. Like I said before, if we do nothing at this point and just wait for the cycle peak on crypto, we're probably going to make easily into the six figures. I mean, it could be well beyond six figures, maybe even seven figures. We don't know yet. It depends on how bullish this thing gets. So if we do nothing else, we're going to be set. But we want to wait to get in on these cheaper prices because then our money goes much further when it does. So that's kind of the game plan going forward. Now, with that being said, we're going to go over the um, Robinhood portfolio. Well, actually, let's go over Webull first. So Webull, not really much going on here. You can see the dividends we got earlier in the month. So click on the portfolio tab here. So in terms of our holdings, nothing's changed. We have not bought or sold anything. We are only down $840, so not bad. And of course, you got to keep in mind total return. The dividends do offset that total return number. So now the Robinhood portfolio, pretty much the positions that we've added to this week in total is we added 200 shares of BTBT. We added some shares of FEPI. We sold Squee for a profit. We'll get into that in a minute. We received dividends from TSLP and YMAX. And we also added 200 shares of Riot, and we wrote some options on these. So we'll go ahead and get into that now. So we'll go over BTBT first. So you can see we have 800 shares. Average price is $2.63, which is not bad. That's pretty close to that macro support zone. If you guys have not seen our videos on the Bitcoin miners, go check them out on our channel. You'll see why we're buying massively at these particular price points, just to gain a greater understanding. So March 20th, or sorry, not March 20th here, March 20th here, we bought 200 shares at $2.33. So that was just recently. And we'll go down a little bit further here. So FEPI, this is the dividend paying ETF from Rex Fang. Rex Shares Fang, I believe it's called. So we'll go take a look at the history here, as you guys can see. So yeah, pretty much all week we've been buying just this one. So you can see half a share, basically half a share here, $30, 0.18 shares, 0.72 shares. We'll go up again, 0.71 shares, 0.7 shares, 0.31 shares, and then 1.23 shares. So it's kind of been all over the place. But then again, it depends on whether we take profit or not. You guys know how we do this. If we take profit on something, we move that into whatever the next ex-dividend date would be for another stock, especially if it's undervalued. That's generally one of the strategies we use for our dividend positions. So 14.53. So we basically round this up, say 15 times the average of $1.20. We would expect at this point like $18 for this month in terms of payouts. So Squee, we're going to go over this one real quick. So you guys can see we sold here, 24.71. We jumped back in with a little bit less shares, as you can see, and a little bit less money put in at the same price. Not a big deal, because if it goes down, we can just simply buy more on the cheap. That was for our Squee profits. We'll go over TSLP right now. So TSLP, not sure why I'm at the bottom of this page, but whatever the case, we'll go up a little bit. So you can see $2.59 pending dividends here from TSLP. And going down to YMAX. So YMAX, we just recently received $21.53 on 37 shares, so that's good. And the last one is Riot. So Riot is down a little bit from where we bought it, but that's not that bad because there is a major support zone right below where we bought these shares at. So we didn't just buy these willy nilly. We had a reason for buying them at that price. So you guys can see here we put in for these 200 shares $2,347 or $48 basically in total for an average price of $11.74. You can see the limit price here is $12.35, but we obviously got filled at a much better price, so can't complain about that. Now, in terms of MSTY, reason why we haven't been picking this one up lately is because it's just been on fire. We're kind of waiting for a pullback on MSTY, plus the FEPI and a number of other dividend-paying stocks are coming up before that X date, so we have time to wait. But you can see that they have an option now to buy either shares or dollars. So if you want to DCA in any amount, you can do that. That's up to you. But if we take a look at the 3-month here, you guys can see that this thing has just been nonstop up. So we are kind of waiting for a pullback to get some shares on the cheap. And yes, we do think that the dividend for MSTY is going to be absolutely bonkers on this next dividend payment. It could be as much as like $3+ a share. I know that sounds crazy, but it could happen. I mean, this is the highest valued yield max ETF that we have so far. So now we're going to go into the options plays here. So we have a $3 call on BTBT. These are all, of course, January 2026. So we're doing extremely far out of the money covered calls with only slightly out of the money strike prices. This is kind of an experimentation that we're doing. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to hold these till 2026, especially at not such a low strike price, but we want to see what exactly is going to happen with these. So we wrote basically 3 covered calls on this. We'll give you guys all the strikes and that stuff in a minute. So three covered calls on Cypher at $5. Let's see, Hut 8, $10 call for 3 sells. Again, 3 covered calls. And Riot, 2 covered calls for a $12 strike price. This did actually hit at $12, I believe, yesterday. But our shares did not get called away, which is kind of weird. Because we had Cypher shares or BTBT shares or both that did actually get called away, but for some reason this did not get called away, so we were expecting it to, but it hasn't happened yet, so that's kind of weird. So we're going to keep a lookout on that. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with that. So basically, the options premiums that we received for Cypher was $220 per contract times 3, so $660 total. Hut 8, we received a total of $250 times 3 with $750 in total premiums. So actually backtracking, so for Cypher, it was actually $265 times 3, but we had to take basically $45 times 3 contracts to close it, to roll it into the new contracts. So that's how it comes out to $660. Likewise with Hut 8, it's $318 times 3, but we had $68 times 3 to close. So that's how we came out to that 250x3, which equals $750. And then BTBT, it's originally $266 times 3, but it cost us $8 times 6 contracts to close and roll into the new one. So the total options premiums for this, and we wrote options on 6 lots and 2 lots separately. So this is going to look a little bit weird or sound a little bit weird, but we have 125 times 6 and 130 times 2. That's in dollars, which comes out to $1,010 total. And for Riot, we received $665 times 2, which is $1,330. There is no roll on that as of yet. So we go over those numbers now. So the options premiums on the week is $3,750. That's basically if we do nothing and just sit on the shares and let the expiration ride out, which is a long time from now. It's almost 2 years. We will get to keep that roughly about $4,000 and $24.13 in the dividends, which was basically TSLP, YMAX, and PSEC, and $17.83, which was from the SQUI ETF that we took profit on this week. So if we add this up, do 24.13 plus the options premiums plus 1783. That comes out to a grand total on the week of $3,791.96. Again, we're not really stressing too much, not making a lot of money on the On the crypto positions, we had a lot of native cryptos we could have took profit on. We could have taken profit on these grayscale trusts, and we'd be up even more massively as of right now. But considering how much we made in options premiums this week and how much insane amount of money we've made this month and even last month, we're not really too concerned about taking as much profit as possible right now. So anyways, this is our buy, sells, and dividends for the week. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you all later. Peace.